And welcome to the Daily Space Weather. Lots of stuff going on, including some M-class flares from a setting sunspot in the southwest. Let's get to it, starting out with looking at Earth's geospace, Earth's magnetic moment from space. This is our geospace magnetosphere movie for the last 4 hours. So Earth's magnetic moment from space here, this is modeled in nanopascals magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and we do see an elevated coronal hole high-speed stream coming in. So that's the cause for most of the pressure. We'll get to all of the data, including coronal holes, sunspots, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and more. So that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. We'll just let that play through to get it onto your screen as quickly as possible, because we don't edit the videos, you see. They're basically a live streaming format. We used to stream all of the videos live until YouTube decided to break its own software. Anyway, there's the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure from space out to about 12 Earth diameters. Now that we've shown that, here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. This is in magnetic flux density nanotesla. And like the last imagery, this is the last 4 hours. You're seeing changes in Earth's B field expressed as geospace delta B. When you see the word delta in science, it means change in, hence change in Earth's B field. Anyway, like the last video, this one refreshed. We're going to let it play all the way through to give you a full 4-hour run. To start things out on the Daily Space Weather. So nothing too exciting happening there in the past 4 hours. Some aurora probably visible, depending on what part of the planet you're on. And if you've got some, let us know. Give us your Instagram page or whatever. We may feature it on the channel. KP index calm here over the past 3 days. And for the past 15 hours, it's been at a KP2. Planetary K index is a measurement of global geomagnetism, an average of the amount of global geomagnetism. KP2 is the current condition. Let's look at the real-time solar wind to see an elevated solar wind speed. Somewhere around 550 kilometers per second. Solar wind density about 10.5 protons per cubic centimeter. That is an ongoing high-speed coronal hole wind stream. And we may actually see this go a little bit higher here, especially if we see a drop in the density. We may see an uptick in the velocity at the same time. That's the typical signature of a coronal hole high-speed stream, and we just did see a minor uptick in the density and the solar wind, the plasma temperature there. So we may see solar winds reaching maybe 600 kilometers per second throughout the day today. A slight elevation there, perhaps in the velocity. So despite seeing some flaring, we haven't seen any relativistic particles showing up. There's your proton flux over the past 3 days. Again, no relativistic particles showing up there on the proton flux. Next, looking at the heliospheric current sheet, the top view of the ecliptic plane field plot. And we may see a south pole current sheet coming through here to our east, which would be off in this direction. By the way, this data is derived from 51 ground-based magnetometers, a magnetometer on stereo B, and a magnetometer on stereo A. It's one of the more important features, one of the more important data sets that we can use to forecast solar activity if you understand how to read the magnetohydrodynamic data. There are your GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. And we indeed did see some higher readings here as we forecasted a couple of days ago. And it all has to do with being able to, again, read the top view ecliptic plane field plot and other magnetic data. Here's our line of sight plot. Solar magnetogram lighting up with crazy sunspots, 2993 and 2994. They are berserk sunspots. Here's our line of sight coronal hole plot. We've got additional North Pole oriented coronal holes here rotating in from the east. South Pole coronal hole largely still constrained to the polar region, taking its good old time. Really both solar polar fields taking their good old time beginning their migration. So despite a lot of sunspots, the solar polar field reversal cycle is behind schedule. I've got theories on it. I won't share them on the Daily Space Weather video because it has to do with a science publication that we're currently composing. So here is our 193 angstroms wavelength, great at showing coronal holes. You can see these dark regions in here. Those are areas of low concentrations of iron in the chemical spectra depicted by 193 angstroms. Those cool spots are coronal holes, and we're getting a high-speed wind stream from a coronal hole at the moment. It's already probably set on the western limb somewhere. And let's continue on to sunspots. Major sunspot groups 2993 and 2994 are nothing to shake a stick at. They walk softly and carry a big stick. Likelihood of major solar flares very high. And we saw some M-class flares from sunspot 2992 before it sets, getting into the action. And I think there was some increase in sort of the complexity of sunspots over the past 24 hours. Let's take a look in 1700 angstroms. Those are both beta-gamma class sunspot groups there. Yeah, 2992 I think got a little more complex over the past 24 hours. It had a growing leading umbra. You can zoom that in a little bit here. That's actually yesterday and today so far. Great SDO imagery there. And let's continue on. Did you know that we're on BitChute? Yeah, we put up exclusive videos regularly on BitChute. Our views have mysteriously gone from like 2,000 a day to like 400 a day. An approximately 80% dip in view counts on BitChute. Not exactly sure what is up with that. Is it because of bots? Is it because of a change in the quality of the videos? Well, I don't think so. BitChute.com/SmashAmash. We do stream live regularly to Twitch as well. It's such a great live streaming platform that we just love it here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. By the way, what do you think of our spring colors for our Smash News Network logo? Let us know in the comments what you think. And make sure you view us over at twitch.tv/SmashAmash. Maybe install the mobile app. You'll be able to see when we go live. You'll actually get notifications. Also, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Check out our website. Our homepage is smashomash.com. You can find links to the Smash team there, this graphical link as well as up here. And you can find links to the merch as well. Today's featured merch item is Mensa. Make Earth Not Suck Again. I've got a Mensa hat. Would you like one? You can find the link on our homepage. Just click the Smasho merch link, and you'll find our Redbubble shop. Sorted by order of best-selling, I believe. And if you'd like to support the channel, become a member of the Smash team, smashomash.com/Smash team. Similar, just superior to Patreon. You can send us a couple bucks a month at the silver level or the gold level, or there's even a gold annual paid-up subscription, which is the best value. Smashomash.com/Smash team for additional content only visible to paid subscribers. You can also find all kinds of other links on the homepage, like links to our Discord channel and so on. Make sure you check it out. Let's get back to solar activity. So a series of M-class flares here. We saw 3 M-class flares since yesterday. The latest, just as I got up today. And yeah, the peak flux was around 740. 7:40 a.m. That's 7:40 universal time. So some M-class flares there. One of them was pretty decent size. That was an M4.46. And if you want to monitor flares at the earthly side, they do cause radio blackouts and brownouts. And there have been quite a few of them over the past few days. Expect more. Don't be surprised to see more X-class flares, more earthly coronal mass ejections. We'll show you if any of those flares were associated with coronal mass ejections a little bit later in the video. First, a great SDO imagery of 94 angstroms. So there you can see that X-class flare coming out of sunspot 2994, And you can see some M-class flares coming out of 2992 as it sets in the southeast. There is a slightly higher statistical probability for sunspots to produce large flares when they're at the limbs, as opposed to in the earthly facing zone. There are some plausible theories on this. We won't get into it at the moment. That's for perhaps a cosmology video in the future. And let's move on to blast through a little more data here. We've brought up a star chart for your convenience. If you're up before dawn, you may see Saturn, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter rising ahead of the Sun. 4 quite bright objects. In fact, it's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th brightest object. Venus is the 3rd. Mars and Jupiter compete for the 4th brightest object depending on their distance, and Saturn is the next brightest after either Mars or Jupiter as far as planets go. Next, a solar system forecast. We hope you enjoyed your full moon. Let's advance this 1 week. Here's where things will be in a week. We will have a crescent waning on the 25th. We're also going to show coronal mass ejections. There have been some. If you'd like an idea of where they're directed, well, we'll show you the view from Lagrange 5 and Lagrange 1, the locations of the stereo A coronagraph over here on the left and the Soho-Lascaux C3 on the right. So, in short, they are not earthly directed. There may be tiny earthly components there, but it doesn't look like it, because if you look at the view from stereo A, there's pretty much all of the ejecta is expected to be south of the Earth. So there is some on the far side of the Sun that can make it look deceptive from the perspective of the Soho-Lascaux C3, but we don't expect any of that ejecta to be earthly directed. You can see all of the ejecta on the earthly side is off to the south. Earth would be kind of more on the equatorial line like that. Well, let's rock those back and let them play through one more time before we close out the Daily Space Weather. This one is a YouTube exclusive. Again, make sure you check out smashomash.com/smashteam and click on posts. You'll see probably 3 other videos today, all posted there conveniently in one link so you can see all of the content without having to, quote, follow us all around the internet, end quote. So thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather. May that solar wind be at your back as we sign off from Smash News Network, least busted name in news.